Welcome to Huntington Beach High School, where we're hosting the Courage to Remember exhibit on loan to us from the Simon Wiesenthal Center and the Foundation for California. This exhibit is 40 panels large that gives the entire history of the Holocaust in a very detailed and visual fashion. The museum begins with the persecution of the Jews and why the Jews were targeted in these 4 panels. It starts by what was happening before, Jewish life prior to the war, and then goes into the way that the Nazi propaganda machine really picked up and spread anti-Semitism throughout Europe and in anywhere that Hitler conquered. Then it snakes around here to continue with the advent of Kristallnacht. Kristallnacht is the night of broken glass. It was basically the time when most Jewish people said that there was no turning back. At this point, they knew the writing was on the wall. They had to get out. And these 2 last panels here are about trying to escape. Down here, it talks about the Evian Conference, where all 33 nations came to decide what to do with the Jewish refugees, and they ultimately decided that they would not help trapping Jews in Europe. This is how the setting the stage, if you will, for the mass murder and starting to put people into ghettos and a very systematic sense of destruction. And then finally we get into the ghettos themselves, the Lodz ghetto, the Warsaw ghetto, Greece and Yugoslavia, and then it comes around this corner to be what life is like in the ghettos and how the final solution is spread. Here you can see right here all the different extermination and concentration camps and the way that they are all organized in Poland, and then the way that it was very systematic. Over here, these next panels are about the systematic part of it, even the resistance. These photos I especially was interested in because I had not seen them before. This whole exhibit has over 200 photos that have never been put on display in any other museums, and so that was another reason for us to bring it here. And then finally over here we have more of about the spirit, and there's artwork that they found inside of the camps of people presenting what they were seeing, and that was preserved, which is pretty amazing. And then we wrap around over here. And these panels focus primarily on Auschwitz-Birkenau and how that camp was one of the worst for the individual things that happened there, especially with people like Joseph Mengele and the experiments that he did on people. And then finally, the last few panels are all about liberation and about what happened to the people afterward, that the displaced persons camps they had to go to, the Nuremberg trials, and finally trying to make sure that this doesn't happen again.
I'm a sophomore student at Huntington, and I'm in Miss Lammers' class. And we studied about the Holocaust in our history and English classes, all about the survivors and the people in it. And we actually got to meet a few survivors. One was here at Huntington during tutorial, and then there's another one in the Museum of Tolerance where we visited with our English class.
I feel that this is very, very important because of the last couple years, the rise in hate crimes, the rise in students having more issues in schools around the whole diversity issue, and I think the incident in Newport Beach has brought this up even more, but this is something that's going on in all the schools in greater or lesser degrees than the Newport Beach incident. I think there's a different attitude in the country the last couple years, and I was just talking to one of the women here. The idea that there would be neo-Nazi groups marching in this country is very alarming to me. And I'm not sure exactly where this is coming from, but I do know that there's been an increase all over the country.
This exhibit makes me feel personally attached because I personally visited Auschwitz, and going there I actually remember everything when I went through this museum for all the facts, and I remember personally walking through it.
I'm so thankful that Huntington Beach High School is having this event, sponsoring this event. I work as an English teacher at Los Amigos High School, and we are actually doing a dual cross-curricular project for Night and the Holocaust with our world history teachers. So all of our sophomores actually read the book Night, and we actually do a gigantic project in regards to looking at it through the historical lens, but also looking at the humanity lens of what it was like for Ellie to go through the camps and the torture that he had gone through. And we also address maybe like what is going on in our society today and how we can learn from things that we've gone through in the past and how we can, teach tolerance and love and kindness to all people, because we have so much diversity in our world and on our campus that we want to go ahead and make sure that love is produced for all of our students, and not just that we look at each other as for our differences, but more for our similarities. So walking through this is pretty amazing. I haven't used the app yet to kind of hear the voices of the survivors, but it has been an amazing journey just to look at the photographs and see the hurt and the pain that that choices can inflict on others, the pain that we can cause each other just through not really being understanding or being tolerant of each other.
Recently, there was an essay contest conducted in the schools and the high schools of Huntington Beach, and as a member of the Human Relations Task Force, I was asked to read some of the essays, and one of them stuck out in my mind, and I haven't been able to actually get over thinking about it. One of the girls talked about, the assignment was to write a 400-word essay on a time when you were discriminated against. And one of the girls wrote about the fact that her class had read the Diary of Anne Frank, and she's Jewish, and after this was read, some of the students, she found swastikas put all over her notebooks. She found swastikas in the bathrooms. She found swastikas in various places. She was called names about her Jewish faith. And this just was alarming to me that this is going on today. And standing in front of this exhibit where we're talking about Auschwitz, where Anne Frank actually was sent, brought this to mind. And I find this very alarming. This is happening right now in this country.
I think if we did educate students more, I feel like personally we have gotten a lot of education from Ms. Lammers about what the Holocaust is and how the great impact that it has brought. But I feel like those students in Newport probably didn't get the opportunity to learn about the Holocaust as much as we did.
This exhibit was we started planning for it last June, in the end of the previous school year. It just so happened that the events that happened down in Newport happened to coincide with this exhibit being here at Huntington Beach High School, which, isn't necessarily a great thing because what happened there isn't good. However, we're glad that we can continue to spread tolerance in our Orange County community.